Stacy Borkowski from Golf Forever. Welcome to A.PUTNAM's Women in Golf.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Super excited to chat today.
Absolutely. And we've gotten to chat plenty of times beforehand, but it's actually kind of fun because I've probably only heard portions of your story. So I'm excited to just start from the beginning, learn where golf came into your life and all that good stuff, and obviously where it's taken you today as the VP of sales for Golf Forever. So we always start these calls with how golf came into your life.
Yeah, honestly, golf's been such a big part of my life, from the beginning, really. So when I grew up in St. Charles, Illinois, western suburb of Chicago, my dad played golf, my brother played golf, my brother's 3 years older. I always wanted to be like him from a young age. And so I started golfing at age 5, typical kind of country club, junior camp where you learn to hit it on the range just for fun and really enjoyed the game from a young age, really. But really didn't get serious about it until I was about in junior high, middle school. That's when I realized, what, there's something here. There's not a lot of women doing this. I can compete with the boys and my brother and his friends.
That's
And
awesome.
so then I kind of got motivated, like, I want to be good at this game and I want to play in high school and maybe in college. And that's when I started to compete and really join tournaments and get serious about being on the high school team. So it really started at a young age. And then I think as success came, I liked it more and more, and I really realized that I loved to compete and just be the best I could be. Golf is an interesting sport because it truly is an individual sport, but then you're put in a team atmosphere, which is what I loved about it. I could have control over my own game, but still motivate and encourage my teammates, and I love that aspect. So, I was fortunate in high school to play on the women's team, and my brother was on the men's team, and we actually won the state tournament the same year.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was a pretty neat experience in the state of Illinois and being able to celebrate together. And they'd always do the brother sister highlight, in the news and the media, which is kind of neat. But it's been a special, game for me because I've had a special bond with my dad. My dad has a big passion for golf, and he's caddied for me over the years in amateur events. And
that's neat.
it's a sport truly you can play for life, right?
Yeah.
So
and
for
the
that, I'm very
you make
thankful.
through it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's so neat. So did you, through high school, was golf your only sport? Were you hyper focused on it, or did you have other sports you were playing?
Yeah, I played basketball actually, my freshman year and golf. And funny enough, I had the same coach for freshman basketball and golf. And I remember him sitting me down after freshman basketball, and he said, Stacy, you're very talented at golf. I think you have a bright future in it. In basketball, you're good and you give 100% effort all the time, but you're never quite going to be fast enough. You're probably never going to be tall enough, and you're way too aggressive on defense. You get way too many balls. So he said, I really recommend you stick with golf. And one of the best advice I ever got, because now I look back and it's like, golf is truly a game you can play for a lifetime, right? So I feel really good with my decision to pursue golf and quit basketball after that.
Oh, that's right. Oh, I get that. That's really neat. Good memories, probably. Yeah, it's a fun coach, and neat that he got to see you in both lights of one sport or the other. That's really neat. It doesn't shock me at all that you were too aggressive on defense for some reason. I can see that.
I've taken up tennis now, and I have that same kind of competitiveness on the tennis court that I had on the basketball court. So it comes out.
That's so funny. Oh, that's awesome. And so did you then, I'm assuming you narrowed in on colleges based off of playing golf.
Exactly. For me, it was a little easier because I was being recruited to play in college, and from the success I had in high school, I had, some really good choices, really, of top schools and Division I schools to play at. And when I went on my 5 visits and, got recruited by the different schools, I narrowed it down pretty quickly to Kentucky. I just loved everything that the coach stood for. I loved the campus. I loved the vibe. And, I really found it felt like home when I went and visited. So I was fortunate to play 4 years at Kentucky and had an amazing college experience.
So cool.
I bleed blue to this day. I'm still kind of upset about the basketball loss last night. So it's a little bit fresh of a topic, but Yeah, but
Oh,
20 years later, I'm still rooting on the Wildcats and still bleed blue, which
isn't
is pretty
that funny?
special.
We used to go and watch the UC UK. What is it called? The Battle of the River. What
Um,
is it called?
yeah,
Basketball.
the
Ugh,
Battle of the Cats or Battle of yeah,
something I know.
something,
We used to
yeah.
go because when we lived in Cincinnati, we had good friends that were like, one was a diehard UK fan, the other was
Okay.
UC. So growing up, we always went to that basketball game, which was
Yeah,
wild.
there's some great
Um,
rivalries for sure.
oh, there are. That's so cool. Geez, sorry about that March Madness start. That
Yeah,
stinks. I have the
yeah.
same heartfelt feeling about Syracuse basketball because when I was there, it was right after the year after they won the national championship with Carmelo Anthony. So
Oh
like,
yeah.
I still have like a
It's
soft spot for following at least the basketball team. Football is not so much, but
exactly.
I
That's
get
kind of
that.
how we were. We weren't really a football school, but definitely a basketball school.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
basketball. I know. So
yeah.
I have to ask this because I find it so interesting from what I had gone through. And the recruiting process looks so different now than it did back when we
Completely.
were playing.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah, it really
I'm
did.
pretty sure I just came across my VHS tapes, like
Yes,
highlight
remember
tapes from
those?
lacrosse.
Yeah, exactly. You had to like sell yourself, and come up with this whole promotional
Oh,
package. Yeah,
right. So
yeah.
I'm wondering, like, when you went through that, were you sending, like, had you targeted certain schools and programs where you were reaching out, or did they come to tournaments that you were
Yeah,
playing in? And were your high school tournaments all over the place or pretty regional?
yeah, a little bit of both. The
Yeah.
college coaches really came to the big ones like the U.S. Women's Amateur and some of
Yeah.
those bigger tournaments, and those are the ones that I get to meet those high level coaches and
Got it.
get recruited. I also, that's maybe where my sales career started is that I would write them emails and tell them that I was really interested in their school and
Yeah.
really tell them more about me too, so they got to know me along the way. But
Right.
I played in a lot of those summer national tournaments that got me that
Mm-hmm.
exposure. And then the high school, career definitely putting that on the resume and having
Yeah.
them come too. But it's really that summer between like that
Yeah.
junior and senior year that they started
Yeah, that
recruiting.
makes
Yeah.
sense. Okay. Oh, so cool. Fascinating. So you went off to
Yeah.
UK. What were you studying when you got there?
Yeah. So I
Did you?
studied communications. So from the
Okay.
beginning, I studied, it was called ISC, Integrated Strategic Communications at
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky. And I had a minor in marketing and I really love to write and I love to communicate with people. So I had a public relations pathway and I thought that might be what I would do. At one point, I wanted to be the next broadcast journalist on, ESPN Sports Center. And then, I pivoted throughout college and realized that, I just really loved relationships with people. And so,
Mm-hmm.
it was a great degree. I learned a ton and never thought it would lead me into sales. Nobody really goes to get a sales
Yeah,
career, so to
right.
speak,
Mm-hmm.
in college. And so interestingly enough, it was a great background to go into sales without me even realizing it.
That's so neat. And
Yeah.
so through college, I mean, did you get burnt out? This is like, these are some of the questions now I ask because there are some common threads and commonalities with people that play D1 sports, not just golf. What was your college golf experience? And was it something by the end, by senior year, that you were like, I want to keep up with this? Or were you like, ugh, I got to move on?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think you're right. A lot of college athletes go through it. They also go through like,
Mm-hmm.
do I want to go pro? Where do I see the future of the
Yeah.
sport for myself? And, I identified quickly I probably was not going to be good enough to go pro. I really didn't have that aspiration ever, really. I wanted to be the
Mm-hmm.
best I could be in college. I wanted to compete. I wanted to finish high in tournaments. I also wanted to get a
Yeah.
very good education. And probably about junior year, maybe beginning of senior year, I realized, I want to do something with this sport and give back to the sport that's been so good to me, but I don't really want to go pro. And so, I would finish very much middle level of my team. I was never the all-star or the all-American. I don't have that type of story like some do, but I really felt like I want to take this sport and I want to do something in business with it. So my senior year, I
Cool.
applied for a Nike internship and they only send one athlete from a Nike sponsored school to Portland to go do this internship. And so I quickly honed in on the fact that this is what I want. This is the perfect lead in
That's
to a
so
sports
crazy.
career. So I
Yeah.
applied for that internship.
Oh my gosh, and obviously got it.
And I did get it, but then this is where the good curveball comes in because
Oh
I
no.
did get the internship and I was looking for places to live. And interestingly enough, I got a call from Nike and they said, you come highly recommended. for this junior rep job. At the time, they called it FSR, Field Support Representative. And I said, well, I've applied for every golf job that's come up on your website the whole senior year, right? I applied for probably 10 different jobs, and it would say 5-year experience. I didn't have any experience. I was in college playing golf, right? So I would get denied. And so when I got a call that said, you come highly recommended, it really caught me off guard. But the golf pro who taught me how to swing at a young age had a connection with someone at Nike and recommended me, unbeknownst to me, actually. And they called me, and I said, I already have a job with you. I'm going to be an intern this summer. And they said, no. This is a full salary, full paying job in Washington, D.C. We'd love for you to go interview. And so, of course, I leaped at the chance. And pretty soon, you never know. This is where networking is so important, and relationships. And, throughout life, you never know how things are going to wind up. And I didn't go to the internship, and I chose the full-time job. And that's really led me into sales. I never thought I'd go into sales. I thought sales was like pushy, like you got to buy this, And my dad was the VP of sales in his role, in his life, and with Anderson Windows. And he always taught me, I'm like, how can you sell windows, Dad? And he said, well, if you believe in the product and you believe in your relationships with people and you're passionate about both, you can sell anything. And I remember hearing that and thinking, you know what, like maybe sales is for me. So I gave it a try, and the rest is history. I've been in sales my entire career.
No kidding. It's so neat. And I remember talking to you about that and just the wealth of knowledge and experience you've gotten, just, again, Nike, and then you moved on. And it is crazy. And it's neat to hear how you even got that gig, because it's not an easy one, especially out of college, to just bypass even an internship like that.
Exactly.
That's so cool. That's like the stars aligned on that one.
They did. So they definitely did. And, as a kid, you grow up and you're like, I want to work for Nike. I mean, it sounded like a dream to me. And then it became a reality. And, Nike was amazing. It was an amazing company to work for and gave me so many opportunities. And I really pinched myself, because when I was in college playing at Kentucky, I watched as Nike got better and better. They came out with clubs, then they came out with better shoes. And so I wanted to be a part of that journey. And then I got to be able to. So it felt like a little bit of a dream.
That's so cool. So in that role, like when you graduated then, what were some of your, responsibilities and what you were going after? It sounds like it was a rep position.
Yes.
Right? So did you have a certain territory around DC?
Yeah. So I worked for 3 sales reps as kind of the junior rep. So I would go everywhere.
And it was very specific to golf?
It was very specific, just Nike Golf. Okay. And I would go everywhere they didn't want to go, basically. So they would give the junior rep all the areas they didn't want to go. So I spent most of my time on the, right, exactly. I spent most of my time on the western part of Virginia, the 81 corridor. Yeah. Beautiful area. The mountains, it was gorgeous. And then I went a little bit to Maryland, some to Pennsylvania, sometimes down to Virginia Beach. So really all over Virginia and Maryland and in DC. And it was, I was young and, hungry and motivated and all these things. And it was a great way to learn the business by doing. So I would call on the golf courses, and I mostly sold the clubs at the time, which I was the only female. There was about 59 male sales reps and me. So I was the only female at the time selling clubs. Everybody, you'd walk into a golf shop and they'd look at you and say, you sell the shirts, right? You sell the apparel. And I always kind of defied the odds, because I said, no, I'm here to do your demo day. I'm going to fit you for golf clubs. And, it threw them off a little bit. And so I always liked that, because I had the credibility and the playing experience to be able to speak to, the specs of a club and be able to do those things. So I felt really good. It was gratifying to be able to use that in that role.
Yeah, I've been quite a pioneer in that space, and you got to see a lot of the shift that's, I think, still going on.
Absolutely.
But, that's incredible. So after, obviously, as you went through that role, how long were you in that position?
So I was only in that role of being a junior rep for less than about 2 years. And then I got the opportunity to go to Nashville, Tennessee to have my own territory. And so I had the whole state of Tennessee. And so I leaped at the opportunity. This was before Nashville was what it was today, but I absolutely loved living there. And I had the ability to have my own territory, make my own decisions. And it's almost like running your own business. So I was really fortunate to get that opportunity and leaped at the chance and loved it there. And I always said I'd continue to go wherever the job or the man took me. I didn't meet anyone in Nashville. So I got the opportunity to move back to Chicago with Nike and have the Chicago territory. It's where I grew up. It was home. My brother and sister were here, and I said, I've got to go back. So I moved back in 2009 to Chicago and ended up working for Nike for 12 years. So it was amazing. It was an amazing
I don't
time.
think I realized, yeah, for that long. Now, were you in a position, like when you moved to Chicago or even in Nashville, were you building a team of like junior sales reps underneath you? What was that um, kind of growth with Nike?
Yeah, so I went from kind of junior rep to sales rep. And when you're a sales rep,
Yep.
you don't really have like official junior reps, in that territory because it was a little
Yeah.
smaller in Tennessee. But what I did have is demo techs. So you have, people who
Mm.
work for you that can help you do the demo days and the fittings so you don't have to do them all. So definitely it's a teamwork. You also have a
Yeah.
teamwork of a customer service rep and some of the internal teams that were based out of Beaverton, Oregon, helping you as well to really develop
Yep.
that you know, company, almost like your own company within, the
So
broader
fun.
organization.
Yeah. And when you left Nike, was that, it may be just in your career there too, were you selling Nike clubs to private country clubs, municipal courses? Like what were you seeing was your kind of target?
Yeah, mostly private clubs, but there were some public courses.
Mm-hmm.
There were also some small retailers, back then, I
Yep.
would say. It feels so long ago. There were a lot more smaller retailers now, the big
Yeah.
retailers have really taken over and there's a lot less of those, but there
Mm-hmm.
was definitely those too. So it was a little bit of a variety between those. And I ended up
Yeah.
selling clubs for most of it, but then we pivoted and I had apparel toward the end and footwear as well. So I really enjoyed being able to sell both and having the experience of selling all different products. Again, it was all about the relationship and taking care of the customer all along the way, no matter
Yeah.
what I sold. So
What
it
product?
was, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. Exactly.
Oh, that's so good. And then so you moved back to Chicago. You hadn't met your husband yet,
Yeah,
had
so
you?
I met my husband in 2010. I always said I'd never marry a golf pro, Allie, and then I married a golf pro. So I said I'll never marry a
That's,
customer.
yeah.
I was very careful being a female in the business to draw a line between personal and
Yeah.
professional. I never dated customers. And then one of the golf pros I called on here in Chicago asked me out on a date, and we got engaged 6 months later and married a year and a
Oh
half
my
later. And
gosh.
the rest is history. We've been married
Yeah,
12
no kidding.
years happily and have 2 kids. Yeah. So it's crazy how it works. But in hindsight, like
Oh,
we have so much in common and we understand each other's language and have the same passions.
yeah.
And so it actually makes a lot of sense. And then of course, right after I married him, he ended up going to become a golf instructor. So he was more flexible and later on a golf
That's
sales
so
rep.
nice.
So at least he didn't have the hours because they're tough. These
No
hours these golf pros
kidding.
have are really tough.
It is, and we've
It's,
talked to a few women in that space where it is grueling.
it is.
And that's a little bit of that kind of like hospitality world to some degree, right? In that role.
100%.
It is, yeah, not conducive to
Yeah.
a family and building a life like that. But so what was after 12 years of Nike?
Yeah, after 12 years of Nike, I took a pivot and I decided I'm going to sell something totally different. So I got this offer I couldn't refuse with a steel company called Nucor, the nation's largest steel producer. People talk about them in MBA programs all around the country. They're really impressive in how they treat their employees and how they grow their business. And I was really impressed with them, very well respected. They put me through an unbelievable training program and it
Mm-hmm.
really challenged me. I look back at my career in golf and this year and a half that I ended up spending with Nucor probably gave me more training and more insight than any other thing I've ever done because I was challenged to sell a
Yeah.
product I didn't know anything about in steel. I
Mm-hmm.
was never really like a science major or had any expertise in science, but I learned a new product, a new industry, and was able to be successful in that as well. And I think,
Yeah.
true salespeople who understand the customer and are driven and are good at communication and follow up and all these things, it can really translate around a lot of industries, which I try to tell
Mm-hmm.
younger women now, and share that in my
Yeah.
story as well. But the steel company had some great people and I really enjoyed it. And I took some people golfing and used golf in the steel industry.
Of
But,
course.
ultimately it was a lot
Mm-hmm.
of driving and a lot of travel. And I had a young family. I had a
Yeah.
2-month-old at home and it was really
Oh,
difficult for me to
geez.
balance that.
Yeah.
So I leaped at the opportunity after that. Adidas called me, and a lot of the people I worked with years ago had ended up at Adidas, and they recruited me back in the
Yep.
golf business in Chicago. So I became the Adidas rep here in Chicago.
Oh my gosh, it's kind of funny. And I think back to your the business at Nucor and your experience that
Yeah,
it's I think for many positions, I always felt like that was supply chain and stuff. I started in retail and apparel, and then was kind of, I always say stuck, but had a majority of my career in industrial manufacturing. And it is just, it's so, the concepts and the things you learn and the
it
way you
is.
manage teams and things like that are all just like very copy and paste. And like you said, you pick up different things that happen in different industries. So it probably was like a quick,
You,
um,
yeah. And you know what else?
while it was quick, really impactful.
It was very impactful. I think for me, it taught me how to listen too. I'm a super extrovert, but calling on engineers is different than golf pros. And so
Oh
it,
yeah.
it really challenged me to become a better listener and to really
Yeah.
understand what they want. Everybody in the steel industry, the steel bars look very much the same. It's not, the
Yeah.
shiny new Nike shoe. It was
Mhm.
really the same. So you really were selling your services
Yeah,
and the fact
commodity
that you were going
almost.
to be the best at what you
Mhm.
do. And so for those
Yeah.
reasons, I look back and I'm like, if I can sell to engineers and create a relationship with that,
Yeah.
introvert type of personality, it was very valuable in my leadership
Oh, that's
skills
so
and
cool.
in the way I interact with everyone now. Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, that's neat. Even though it was just a year and a half. So then you went to Adidas, and how long were you there for?
So I was at Adidas about 4 years. I
Okay.
took on the key market manager position. So in this role, I
Mhm.
had more leadership skills. I had a team underneath me that I managed. I managed a couple states. I also was what we call the lead Spartan. So we had a rep council that was really in charge of being the liaison between the management team and the sales reps with key initiatives in the
Mhm.
company to be able to drive them forward, promote positive change,
Neat.
and make a difference. And so I love that role.
Yeah.
I really leaned into that role as like, how can I represent the rep force to make us all better at what we do? And
Yeah.
so I really enjoyed my time at
It's
Adidas. It
really
was,
smart.
it was really fun. And it was very similar to my days at Nike. It was very similar clientele. It was just selling a different product, but I had the ability to look at it in a little different light. And then having that steel experience shape me and like, okay, I'm getting a second
Yeah.
chance at this market. How do I do it differently? And how do I do it better?
That's
And
so
so I had a
neat.
lot of different ideas
That's
coming
really
into it after
cool.
that.
How
Yeah,
fun. That's really neat. And it sounds like you probably got to see some familiar faces
I did.
going
I
from
did. It was,
Nike to
yeah,
Adidas.
which is so fun, right? It's like
That's,
us meeting at Courtney's event. It's like the relationships you build
yeah.
along the way and the friendships. It's really,
Oh, you
really
never
drives me
know.
to,
Really.
you never know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You don't. You don't. It's so neat. And obviously the every industry is small in its own way, but uh golf especially feels tiny.
it is
It's just
very, very tiny. You're
incredible.
probably learning that, right? Yeah, it just gets
Oh my
tinier every
gosh.
year, I feel like.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just in the
yeah.
2 year, I mean, we're going on like a year in May, but it's tiny, and especially when you even get down to women in golf. Like it is
It,
crazy. And it's a little bit of that social and LinkedIn, and all of a sudden you're just like, oh,
it's
I've seen this person before. I know she talked to her. Like I know it's really
exactly.
cool.
It is really cool.
But
Yeah.
it is, and I think between product and technology and all these things going on in golf right now, I think it's the visibility is really nice, right? Like
It
I think
is.
you can easily have your eyes on everything that's going on. And I think a testament to the people involved in it, obviously, technology helps and where we are with social media and things like that. But
Yes. It's amazing.
did you end up going to Golf Forever after Adidas?
Yeah, so I was at
Was
Adidas and I
that your
was
next?
really, yeah, that was my next. I was at
Yeah.
Adidas. I could have stayed there my whole career, but I was just really yearning for that next opportunity and the next challenge to make a difference. I had kind of
Mm-hmm.
driven around a big van for, 20 years of my career. And I'm like, I don't know if I see myself driving this van around for 20 more years. And so I
Yeah.
want to,
Yeah.
lead people. I've been very fortunate to have some amazing mentors in my life that
Mm-hmm.
have given me great advice and, really kind of taken me under their wing along the way. And I wanted to be able to give back to the next generation the way that people had helped me along the way. So the
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to do that was really what I was seeking. And, I was always looking for a reason, like, why would I leave this great job at Adidas? And it's
Yeah.
kind of funny how things happen as, the fact that we had met or anyone you connect with, it's really
Yeah.
funny how it happens. And through Courtney, who we both know, who has, For Hire, which is an amazing initiative and organization, she connected me with Golf Forever, and I started talking to them, and I'm like, there's something here. There's something I really gravitate toward, the fact that I can have an impact on people, and not just on their golf game, but on just their life, right? Just helping them move better and do what they love longer. Like, that was a mission that really spoke to me. And as I was looking for this reason, my son, actually, we found out he had a tethered spinal cord. And so it was about the same day as my last interview that I found that out. And like, if you're ever looking for a divine intervention or a reason to leave, it's like, okay, I'm talking to a back doctor and a company who wants to help people with back pain. And my son has this really rare back condition. And thankfully we were able to get surgery, but my founder helped with it and got us into the right doctor. And so it's really given me a renewed sense of purpose in what I do to be able to give back the way that our company helps others.
Yeah, it's incredible. And so I smiled when you started going into this conversation, because I remember you telling me this at the For Hire event and just being, I mean, almost like goosebumps, right? Like
It was
chills, that moment and divine intervention, whatever it was, like, that is so crazy. And
it is.
How could you, I mean, that certainly had to have taken away some of that hesitation you might have had. So
it really did. It was like
so
the
neat.
sign I needed that, you know what, you need to go pursue this. And now, if you look at my career, I'd worked for 3 of the biggest companies in the world, right? And 2 of the biggest athletic companies. And to take a leap of faith and be the 8th employee at a startup who, was just getting started in the golf business and really trying to do something that no one's done before in golf, it took a leap of faith. And that's why I think I needed that extra push to do it. And,
absolutely.
Again, the first day I started at Golf Forever, I was in charge of starting up the wholesale business. And I remember saying, well, what's the wholesale price? Like, what do we have done so far? It's like, whatever you decide it's going to be. And I'm like, this is going to be fun, right? So just being able to build something from nothing has been extremely gratifying, but there has been definitely challenges, and there's been a lot of great moments as well, right? Just as you're experiencing, I'm sure, but it's in those highs and lows that you learn the most, and probably even more in the lows. So I've really leaned into that and really just enjoyed leading a team, meeting and networking with people like yourself and all these great people in the golf business, and being able to give back. And I've really enjoyed it. So I've been here almost 2 years now. It's flown by.
That's crazy. Oh, I'm sure it's gone so fast.
It has.
When did we meet? Was that in August last year, I think?
Yeah, August last year. Yeah.
Does that sound right?
Gosh, that feels like,
so it's just, I know, actually, I can't tell. Sometimes it feels like it's been a while since we've known each other, but August also seems like yesterday. But that's so neat. And I know Golf Forever, you're growing your team. And when you came on board, what was your sales team like? How many people did you have?
Yeah, well, Nicole Hage, who I know you've talked to before and connected with, was really the only salesperson, right? So again, we're a super lean team, and now we have a team of 4 salespeople. We have a sales team in Canada. We have one in Australia. And, we've grown our team to, 20 plus employees, and it's really been really fun to be on this journey. 6 months in, we got into all the large retailers, and just, going to these retailers and presenting an idea really of golf fitness, which was so new to a lot of these, even the big retailers, and just new to golf. I had been used to selling a product in Nike and Adidas that people knew about, were very familiar, and selling them on the fact that we were doing something different and innovative and disruptive. It took a little bit, right? It takes a little bit of grit, and it takes a little bit of confidence in the initiative. And we have an amazing leadership group and great people, but I've always strived to work with great people and great cultures. And I found that along the way. And I know it's totally cliche, but everyone says, you wait, if you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. But I've really been fortunate. I've never really felt like I had to go to work, right? Because I've always really loved what I've been able to do. So that's really lucky. I think it's really rare.
Passion with it.
Exactly.
It is. And to accept the challenges that come with it, that it's not always easy, but you're resilient, and it's obviously what's gotten you here, and will be further ahead. So now, how old are your kids?
So they're 7 and 9. Austin is 7 and Blake is 9. So, boys, I know we bonded, right? You have more than I do, but 2 is enough for me. That's about all I could handle. And, I have an
Oh,
incredible husband who's super supportive and engaged. And so that makes, it easier for me to be able to travel and,
yeah,
hold the rigorous schedule like I do, because it's such a team, as you know. It takes a
it is.
village, it takes
Yeah,
team, it takes
it
friends, it takes
does.
all of that.
Yeah, it
And
doesn't
it's
matter how
been,
many kids.
it doesn't matter.
Mm,
It's just, maybe the
no,
challenges multiply, but, yeah,
it's
it's,
just louder.
totally, it's just louder, right? So I love being a parent. I love being a mom. And I've always been fortunate to work with companies that really do put family first and realize that you're going to have to
Yeah,
balance your career
yeah.
and your kids, right? And I'm sure you are dealing with that challenge all the time as well.
You do. I know. And it's funny, I just had and in our position too, I had uh someone recently say something like, as you grow and get into this and it gets faster paced, you have to get really good at ruthlessly saying no to like
So true.
phone calls, to meetings, to, certain travels, these things. And it's like, in that light, just finding the balance and being with the right people that understand it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
because it
Cause you
is
want to do it
doable.
all.
And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's neat that you're able to simply do that.
It
Like
is,
you
what,
said,
and
your husband's a big part of it.
totally. And, I really love being around other women like yourself and like Courtney. And I have an incredible group of friends here who
Yeah,
are also
you
female
do.
leaders who balance,
Mhm.
working and a family. And I find that really
Yep.
helpful to have supportive people who you can relate to, who understand what you're going
Yeah.
through. I
Mhm.
really lean on them for a lot of support. And don't know what I would do, frankly, if I didn't have tennis and that support group, just to have an outlet, right? Just to
Yeah.
talk about the tough days. And
Right.
I try to tell young women,
Yeah,
like, you
there's
can do
lots
it
of
all.
them.
Yeah, you can have it all, right?
Yeah,
You can have a
I
family and a
know.
career. A lot of people feel like they have to, I think, pick, right?
Right. Yeah, we really got to talk to a lot of the young girls at the For Hire event about that,
Yes,
and it is really
exactly.
cool. And it's fun to like take moments like this and just look back on what you've accomplished in the midst of having kids and shifting positions and all that.
Yeah, it's
Managing
fun.
your family and marriage, it's like there's a lot. There's a
That's
lot,
exactly. It's a
but
lot.
it's so rewarding. So what's kind of next for you? Obviously, you're 2 years in and um endlessly busy with golf forever and things like that. Is there anything else on the horizon or events you're looking forward to?
Yeah, well, I'm going to Hawaii in 3 days with my
Oh
family, so
yeah,
I'm really actually excited to shut it down.
you're like,
And
all I can think about is vacation.
pretty much all I can think about is Hawaii. How could I not, right?
Fair.
I mean, just being present. I think one of the important things too about balancing both is being really present with your kids. And so I do try to make the
Yeah.
time to go on vacations and spend time, with my kids, so they know that I'm 100%, there with
Yeah.
them, not looking at my phone and distracted. So I'm
Yeah.
really looking forward to Hawaii. But golf forever is definitely keeping me busy. I mean, that's definitely the short term
Mhm.
goal, is to continue to grow and grow this
Mhm.
company to as far as we can take it. And I think we're definitely on the right path to do that. So that's definitely
That's
one of my
cool.
goals. Another goal is to continue to give back. I'm going to Courtney's event in May. Are you going to that, by the way?
Oh, good. Actually, it's funny. We're trying to line up a call with her to talk about
Okay.
these upcoming events.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Well, I'm
we'll have to
hoping
keep you
hoping to see
posted.
you at some of those, but just being able to connect
I
with the younger
know.
woman and give back.
Yeah.
I want to find more opportunities like that to really get more dialed into the, even if it's not in the golf industry, just helping younger women and mentoring them. I really have a passion
Yeah.
for that. So that's one thing I definitely am looking forward to. And then I have a lot of
That's
travel
cool.
with Golf Forever too this year. Just,
Mhm.
we're really trying to get out there and talk to golf pros about, how important it is to use this and recommend it to their students. And so continuing that
Yeah.
education and brand awareness at this stage of the game is really important. So being able to
It
travel
is.
and do that is
Yep.
definitely on the horizon, but you never know where the future is going to take you, right? I
Cool.
love to lead
No.
people. I love to sell. I don't see myself ever getting out of sales, in that
Mhm.
capacity, but you never know. Like I love this book called God Winks. I don't know if you've read it. It's the
Oh
power of
no.
coincidences in your life. So it's by Squire Rushnell. And the fact that we're
Amazing.
talking right now is not a coincidence. It's a God wink. And
Yeah.
it's really not as much about
Yeah.
faith as it is about, where the journey in life takes you. And, I
Yeah.
really think along the way, I've been really blessed to meet amazing people. And so I've kind of come up with the life motto is I want to be a motivational speaker actually when I was younger. And I thought
Oh,
every
nice.
motivational speaker needed a story. Like I lost my right arm and this is how I used it.
Yeah.
But then I quickly realized, my story is a little different. I've been blessed and now I want to be a blessing, right? So how do I be a blessing to other people? And so that's really, I think, as life takes me over the next, however many years I'm fortunate to be here, I want to continue to live with that motto of how do I give back?
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And you do, and I know it in so many ways, and you do it naturally, I'm sure, which makes it easy and enjoyable. It's not forced. It's just who you are, and you are such a connector. And I mean, you, Courtney, but you're in this network of women who I think understand the value of that, right?
You're so
looking
right.
after each other, or, what can I do for you? And it's very selfless. It's just, yeah, it's wonderful, and we're so grateful to have met you. And again, it's Courtney that brought us together.
She's a connector, and Courtney and I are tennis partners. We're still undefeated tennis partners, so hopefully we could keep that up. It's just funny, we both played college golf, and now we are tennis partners, which is kind of funny. But
I love it. I can see that transition, and that's fun because it is competitive and a little bit more fast paced, and I need to pop in and out of.
Totally. I fuel a lot of the competitiveness of my sales career. Like I've definitely found that athletes who are competitive and driven make really, really good salespeople. But I need other ways to channel it. So that's what I found on the tennis court. I still do play some golf, and my parents are in Arizona, so I'll play a lot there and go visit them this year. But tennis has been my kind of outlet as well.
Does Courtney tell you you're too aggressive on the court?
No, she likes it because then, we win more, right? So, and she's kind of the same way, so it works out pretty good.
I know. Yeah. I could totally see that in her too. Oh my gosh, that's so fun. Well, Stacy, I can't thank you enough for the recap of just what's gone on in your life in golf and just where it's taking you. And it's fun to see Golf Forever grow and just see and hear the part that you're taking in it. So, and beyond that. But we're so excited to officially have you on our Women in Golf gang. So
I feel honored to. Cool. I feel really honored to have been on it in Women in Golf, and I hope we connect more and at more events in the future. I'm sure our paths will cross as they always do. And I love what you're doing, by the way. This is not a shameless plug. This is literally the most comfortable button down I've ever worn in my life. So. It is amazing product.
I didn't pay you to do that. You're right.
No, I know you didn't. That's what I said. But no, I mean, you guys are doing incredible things, and I love what you're doing from a branding standpoint. It's been really fun to watch you and your success. And again, you too, you're continuing to inspire the next, generation as well. The way you balance family and your job as well. Yeah. It's pretty incredible to start a company and go back to school. And I loved hearing your story too.
I think I need to do more of the outtakes and the stuff that's not so pretty.
Yeah, don't we all
appreciate this? Oh my gosh, I need to share it. I'm trying to figure out if I posted or what, but I came down after a call that ran over. I had to run and go coach the boys lacrosse. My husband took 4 of them to golf, and he was going to get them all over to me. He somehow managed to grill some burgers for him. I came downstairs, and it looked like a tornado had gone through our kitchen. And so I'm just panning the room with my phone, and there's ketchup dripping off the counter onto the stool. My 3-year-old's peeing into the toilet sideways against the wall. I was just this literally is what my life looks like sometimes.
That would be a good outtake. I could probably join you in some of those outtakes. Yeah, you can't make this up, funny. Right? Yeah.
No, cool. I had to stop and I was I have to record this because this is literally what we come walking, into.
That is so funny.
After telling the boys to fend for themselves, that's what happens.
Exactly. So, that's too funny.
I know. Well, I'm going to be in Chicago, I think in May. So awesome. I'll have to hit you guys up for some cocktails or dinner or something.
Let's do it. I'd love it. Let's get together.
I love that.
Us women in golf,
we got 2 trunk shows. I'll do that.
Us women in golf, we got to stick together. So let's do that.
That's right. Easy to do. Yeah. It's always fun. So
yeah,
I'd love
let's make it happen.
Well, good. Awesome. Love it. We'll tell your crew I said hi. Enjoy Hawaii.
I will. You as well. And I will enjoy Hawaii. Right. I appreciate you having me on. Best of luck with everything this year for sure.
Thanks, Stacy.
Take care.